Right. So we can go ahead and get everything started now. Uh, Bulvinaka, everyone. Whether you're joining in from Suva, from the West, or from anywhere else across Fiji, warm welcome to you on this rather cloudy Thursday morning here in Suva. Today we're going to be talking all about digital transformation, particularly how SigniFlow can help your organization speed up your workflows and your processes. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kieran Varela. I'm an ICT sales executive here at Vodafone Fiji, and I'm excited to have with me today none other than Mr. David Saunders, the APAC Regional Director for SigniFlow, here with us today. Hello, David, how are you?
Bula Kieran, Bula everyone, and Vinaka for having me. I'm doing really well, and honestly, I'm really thrilled to be here. I mean, as you said, this topic couldn't be more timely. More and more organizations are realizing that digital signatures aren't just about compliance, they're about speed, trust, and driving digital transformation. So I'm really excited to delve into how SigniFlow makes digital transformation real, practical, cost-effective, and scalable for businesses right here in the Pacific. I'm looking forward to getting started.
Excellent. Thank you, David. So just a brief overview of what we'll be discussing today. So we'll be taking a quick look at how digital transformation will be reshaping workflows. Then from there, we'll move into the common problems that businesses face when with traditional paper-based processes. From there, we'll explore the benefits of going digital and take a closer look at SigniFlow. This is where David comes in. He will run you through the solution, talk to you about its benefits. And then from there, we'll have a live product demo where you'll get to see the solution in action. And then after everything's done, we'll end the session with a Q&A. So if at any point during the presentation you have a question or a query that you may have, you can wait until the Q&A section to ask your questions there. So without further ado, we'll begin proper. So when we talk about digital transformation, it's more than just going paperless. It's really about creating smarter workflows. And how it does that is that it replaces manual paper-based processes with a more secure and compliant digital solution. And these solutions allow organizations to automate approvals. It integrates seamlessly with your ERPs and your CRM systems. And it ensures that every interaction that you have with the system and with others is encrypted and globally compliant. Now, this shift not only accelerates turnaround times, but it also delivers a faster and more convenient experience, not only for the users within your organization, but for your customers as well. So that really drives the efficiency and the trust across your entire business. Now, with traditional paper-based workflows, there are often a lot of challenges that come with it. And these challenges pose a lot of hardships for organizations. Anything from the cost of printing, storage, or courier services. For example, if you have to use delivery services to transfer documents from one location to another or one branch to another, these costs can rack up at the end of the day, and it can be quite stagnant. There's also limited availability, basically meaning that documents can only be accessed in one physical location. And it's a pain if you're doing something like remote approvals that would require you to physically go to a certain location in order to access a certain document. And that can be a pain. From poor visibility, limited availability, we have poor visibility. Now, poor visibility, basically, it's with poor visibility, it makes it hard to track where a particular document is in a certain stage of a process. So for example, if you're putting in a purchase order, you sign the order and you send it up the chain for approval. That could take days, weeks, God forbid, a month before that purchase order is finally approved. And because of that poor visibility, that also breeds a lack of accountability. So because there's no clear audit trail to show who signed what and when, it can severely impact the turnaround times for critical processes. So God forbid if you're onboarding new employees or you're finalizing vendor agreements, these pain points can significantly slow down a lot of these processes. And then, of course, with paper-based processes, you do run the risk of having your documents damaged or misplaced. Sometimes your documents may get damaged in, say, a fire or flooding, if that may be. Or worst case scenario, someone just straight up loses the document and you don't have a backup. So now you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So these are just some of the main pain points or challenges that are on the screen right now. And I think what this really highlights is why organizations need to move towards digital workflows. Because it's especially in this day and age, it's essential for efficiency and security. Right. So with digital workflows, there are a lot of benefits that come along with it. So for example, you get faster processing. Basically, that means that processes that through traditional workflows would have taken days, weeks, maybe even a month to approve. Now that can be done within minutes. Anything from vendor contracts, purchase orders, all of that can be done like that. Not only that, but the cost savings as a result of these solutions is significantly reduced. So you no longer have to pay for printing, storage, or courier expenses. You don't have to rely on service delivery services anymore to go out and deliver documents to people. There's also enhanced security, whereby it ensures that the documents that you send out to people are encrypted and tamper-proof. So with these security features, basically what happens is only you and the intended recipient are the only ones that can view a certain document. No one else can have access to it. So it really comes in handy, especially if you're dealing with HR records, finance records, what need be. Any case with any sensitive information, only you and the intended recipient can have access to that. Now, compliance is built in. This helps organizations, meet global standards and regulations without having to worry about manual checks, and also improve visibility. So nowadays, with the solution, you're not left in the dark anymore. You're not having to wonder, okay, where's this document? I wonder if this person has signed it. Now with digital solutions like this, you get the chance to track the document. You get to see who signed it, when they signed it, and how high it's gone up the chain if need be. But also this provides you with better collaboration. So it allows teams to share and approve documents seamlessly, even across different locations. Plus, it also benefits your customers as well, not just the users in your organization. So your customers get to enjoy the convenience of signing anywhere, anytime. And for business, you can easily scale to handle the growing document volumes without adding complexity. So those are just some of the main benefits that we can get from digital signatures and workflow automation. But for an in-depth view of SigniFlow, its benefits, and what it can offer to your organizations, I will hand you over to Mr. David Saunders, and he will take you through the SigniFlow solution. Naka David.
Thank you, Kieran. Thanks for that in-depth overview. So I guess looking at the screen now, we always tend to say, deploy your way. So there's never one fit that suits every single client. So there's a lot of flexibility how you can potentially deploy SigniFlow. So firstly, we have our standard SaaS licensing, which is really hosted in Microsoft Azure. I guess the benefit there is it's a quick deployment. There's minimal IT involvement, and it's ideal for small to mid-sized businesses. Then we have a SigniFlow private tenant. So it's a SaaS private tenant. So it's really a dedicated instance with its own database, web URL, its own branding. You can customize your emails. So if you prefer to have your own email domain or SMTP service to send out the emails so your customers automatically identify with it, with the email, then we would say a private tenant. It's suited for companies needing enhanced security and data segregation from the larger cloud population. And then, of course, we have an on-premise private tenant. So it's deployed entirely within your infrastructure, giving you full control over your data, just also ensuring data residency compliance, and then also a lot of integration flexibility. So we'll talk to integration next. And then we have a hybrid. So that really is a combination of both on-prem with SaaS agility. And it's really ideal for complex environments or potentially a phased cloud adoption. So potentially you have the web application hosted by SigniFlow, but all the documents are stored within your own on-premise infrastructure. So we can really look at your IT strategy, whether that's cloud first, hybrid, or on-prem, and we can actually tailor that to your preferred environment. Next is integration, and that is really connecting. So what we're seeing in the industry is that there's a lot of technology stack fatigue. So adding an additional layer or software application to employees that are already using multiple applications causes a certain level of fatigue. So what you could what we have is that SigniFlow has full open APIs that can connect with these systems. So potentially if you're running an ERP, an ECM, or a document management system, it's just a matter of configuring it's called the EasyFlow API, and you can initiate the workflows from those applications, send the documents out for signature, and they can get routed back into those applications. If you're not looking for integration, or I mean, we've got plugins for Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, as well as SharePoint. SharePoint in particular, you can initiate the workflows from SharePoint, and then you can configure where the documents are sent back to within the folder structure. And then for more intricate integrations where you might be running multiple independent systems and you essentially want these systems to talk to each other, then we deploy our advanced middleware. So we've got a piece of middleware which is called an event handler that can sit between these systems. So SigniFlow is not a silo. It connects effortlessly with your existing digital tools. And then just looking at the application, and we're going to go into this in a bit more detail shortly, but it offers really workflows that are sequential or parallel. So perhaps maybe internally you have an approval process. That might be a manager, an FD, and then your CEO. So that would be a sequential workflow. But then we also have parallel. So parallel is where you don't need to stipulate a specific order. There might be multiple signatories within the organization, and you need to send the document out to various signatories, but you don't want to create any form of bottlenecks. And that gives them the abilities to log in as and when they want and actually sign the documents. We specialize in advanced electronic signatures. It's not a simple electronic signature. It really ensures non-repudiation in a court of law. We comply with really stringent EU regulations around embedding signer identity into the PDF. The benefit is that you're not reliant on the software application to prove signer identity. The identity sits within the PDF, and I will show you that shortly. It offers immutable audit trails. These audit trails are embedded into the document, but they also sit within the application. And these audits can be routed back to your internal databases or applications to prove signer identity or ensure non-repudiation. Also, it offers automated follow-ups. So I know previously in previous roles, I don't know how many times I've have to send an email to follow up on an approval or get something done. With SigniFlow, it really offers these automated follow-ups that can be configured on a workflow level until that workflow is completed, and then the follow-ups stop. So these are just, this is just really a high-level overview of what features are actually built into SigniFlow from a signing tool and compliance and productivity perspective. Now, importantly, support. So we pride ourselves in support. So we offer 24/7, 365 days a year premium support. So every user in your organization will have access to dedicated support agents that are familiar with your deployment. We have some support from automation engineers that understand back-end systems or potentially systems that you're using internally that can support from a workflow configuration perspective or integration. And then we've got extended support across user and technical layers, which gives you as the client or provides you as the client with more assurances that you'll have full coverage from a support perspective. And then we also tailor the support to your deployment. So as we talked about earlier, there's different ways that we can deploy the solution. And by tailoring the support, we ensure that both users and IT teams are covered. Okay, great. So next, I'm going to just share my screen and take you through the SigniFlow application. I'm going to share shortly. Kieran, can you confirm if you have my screen now?
Yep, can confirm I see your screen in front of me.
Okay, great. See, there's a few other things on the screen, which I'll move off. All right, so as we discussed earlier, clients have the ability to choose a SigniFlow private tenant, which we tend to encourage because it's a dedicated instance that we put in the cloud. It has its own SQL databases, segregated storage, ring-fence security, providing additional layers of security to the end clients. With that, I've got an example here. So this is the Ministry of Lands in Fiji. So they opted for a private tenant. And you'll see that here we have digital sign lands.signiflow.com.fj. So it gives you the ability to really customize your domain however you want it. But this also pulls through to your emails that are sent from the application. So it can come from digital sign at XYZ organization. I guess the benefit there is that when somebody does receive a document for signature, they automatically identify with your brand. So you're building trust in terms of that workflow. But for the purpose of today, I'm just going to use our shared instance. So you have the ability to sign in with username and password. We've also got SSO capabilities. So if you're using Active Directory, LDAP, OAuth, or SAML, we can configure that for you. And you can use that as the method of authentication. Now, for the purpose of the demo, I think what I'm going to do first is just show you the simplicity of how easy it is to get a document signed, and then we will circle back just to take you through the steps to configure that workflow. So I think the record internally is 8 seconds to send a document out for signature. That's how quick it can be once you get familiar with the system. So for the purpose of the demo, I'm just going to create a workflow and show you how easy that is. So I've just uploaded a document template. I'm going to add 2 signers. I'm going to add myself, and I'm going to add Seth Logan. And I'm going to apply a template. business. Apply the templates and all the fields are on the document, and I'm going to just send this document into workflow. We will come back just to show you how easy it's done, but I was the first person in the workflow. There's a few boxes here that I need to tick. Okay, my signature is saved to my account, so it's automatically going to use my signature that's saved. So you can upload your signature, you can use a font, whatever you prefer. Now the document, now that I have signed the document, it's going to move on to the next person in the workflow. It's already come through to that person. Okay. Open that document, and now that next person in the workflow can sign. In this case, this person's signature is also signed, saved to their account. So it'll automatically use that as the default. Now, once this workflow is completed, you will receive a document by email that looks like this. It has all the signatures, all the fields completed, everything has already been built in. You can also select to have a full audit trail on the back end of the document. And this really talks about who initiated the workflow, where they signed, how long they spent viewing. All of this is available within an application, and we'll come back to that. So as you can see, once you're familiar with the application, you can send out a document for signature or approval in a matter of seconds. So we'll come back to how this workflow is now structured as a user. So I log in. The first thing that I can do is I can configure my signature. So I can change the font, I can draw, I can upload. Once that's set, that would be your default signature that you would use. You can upload from your device. You can have document templates. So I used the templates in the previous demo. Now these templates can be assigned by teams, departments. So you as a departmental manager can give your team access to certain documents. So if they're used frequently, I mean, also as an example, maybe HR needs to give certain teams access to certain HR documents. They can all be made available under document templates. So I'll select this one for today. And then I'll make it a bit smaller, the workspace. So this is the name of the document which has been uploaded. So I've named this document before it's been uploaded. If you wanted to change it, you can change it there. You can upload more from your device. You can add more templates. You can add forms. So there is a form builder in the application. You can also make provision for uploads. So maybe as part of the process or the workflow, you need to stipulate that a person uploads a document at the time of signing. So instead of you requesting the document over email, you can say, maybe I need a proof of address. I'm going to force this person to upload the document before they sign. And then if you've shared this workflow with anybody, and I'll show you how you share, they will be notified when that person uploads the document. So I'll say confirm. Now I've got the placeholder for the proof of address and the original document. And now you move down. So there's 4 steps. So I can say recipients. I'm going to say, I need to sign document. You can have face-to-face. So maybe you've got people on the ground and people are walking into a branch and you want that person to sign on your device. You can stipulate that. In some cases, you don't know who the person is that's walking in. So you can do an ad hoc face-to-face. That person then will be prompted to input their name, email address, and contact number. And that will get embedded into the PDF. Needs to approve. There's no need for a signature. It's just a click wrap where the person receives the document via email. They open it up and they click approve. Can view. They are privy to the workflow, but there's no actions required. So they'll get a notification saying this document has been released. Click on this link, you can view it. Or maybe they just need to receive a copy of the signed document at the end of the workflow. So you can stipulate that as well. I'm going to add the next signer, which is Seth Logan. Now you'll see there's a set signing order here. So this is what I spoke about earlier, where you've got a sequential workflow. It's an order of events. I need to sign before Seth. If you toggle that off, it becomes parallel. So it'll get sent out to everybody at the same time. And then we have another means, which is called group signing. So let's say there is 4 directors in a company, and and out of those directors, you just need 2 signatures for the approval. So you can add all 4 directors into this workflow, and then you can stipulate how many signatures that you need. So it becomes a parallel workflow. Document gets sent out to everybody, and then as soon as 2 people have signed that document, the workflow then completes. So it really speeds up getting documents signed or getting the approvals when perhaps maybe one of the directors is on leave or you're just a bit unsure. Then you would probably migrate to a group workflow. Okay. So if we go back to creating the sequential workflow, then we have text fields. So this is where you start building out the document. Now, if it's just a document that you use frequently, you only need to do this once because you can save it as a template. So as I showed you earlier, I applied a template on the document. So just to move through this quite quickly, we can apply checkboxes. I'll come back to that checkbox because we're going to actually include quite a smart little function. I'm going to include a drop down here. So I'm going to say, as the first option, can be car insurance, home insurance, okay. So we've built that out. I'm going to put a company name here as an open text field. Now, open text is it's an optional field, but I'm going to make this tick box here conditional. So if the person ticks this box, then they can only see this box. So I'm going to say conditional, create new rule. I'm going to select if they check it, only show open text then. I'll put another open text field there. Oh, sorry, I'm actually making myself complete these fields, but I'll just move it over to Seth. So you can just change the fields by selecting the person's name on the right-hand side here. Okay, for myself, I need a date. So the date will automatically pre-fill when the person signs the document. So there's no need for them to input the date. I mean, you could put an open text field there for them to complete the date. And then also the names. The name would also be automatically pre-filled based on the name that you input into the system. Now, if you want to copy, you can just copy them, say copy, and then you can paste them. Or alternatively, you can come here and then you can select the person's name and apply the respective color-coded fields. Okay, and lastly, the name. Okay. I'm sure your templates will look a lot better than mine. But so once you've built this out once, it's just a matter of saying, save as a template. I want to save it as a form template. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to say CapEx approval form. Today's date is the 15th. And if I'm a template admin, so within the back end of the business profile, we can assign template admins, which are usually departmental managers. Then you can give scope. So is it a personal team or department? For today, I'll just say it's a personal, and then I can say by form template, I can go into personal, I can find my CapEx approval form, which is there, and it'll show you all the fields. So if I say apply template, it automatically puts all the fields on the document for me. But also with the recipient. So maybe you've got internal approval processes. So here you can just say save as a template and save it as a workflow template. So this could be CapEx approval 15K JD, and maybe it's a department template. And here you can define who the signatories are in terms of that workflow, and you can save it. And then at a later date, you can just come in and choose your workflow template. So I just want to see if I can find one. So that is just an example, but with all the roles that have been previously applied and all the settings, and if you apply that, this will automatically pre-fill. Okay, then you can write a message. So I can say, hi, Seth, please sign the enclosed document and kindly upload a copy of your proof of address. My regards, David. So this goes into the body of the email. If there's any clear instructions that you need to give, you can do that here. You can also save them as custom messages and just then apply them. And then you've got settings. So is there a due date? Does the document need to auto expire on that date? So in the build up to that date, they'll be receiving notifications saying if you don't act on this document by this date, the document will expire. On that date, if they try and access the document, they'll receive a notification saying that this link has expired. Please contact the originator. High priority, exclamation mark in the body of the email saying, please act on this workflow. Auto remind is what I spoke about earlier. The standard setting on a business profile is every 24 hours. I mean, that can be configured based on your preference. If you toggle that on, they will receive that notification every day saying, please act on the workflow. And then it's a matter of sending it. So you can see now that there is requirements here to upload documents into the workflow. I'll just, for the purpose of this demo, I'll upload the document. Of course, it would be the person that you're requesting. Let's see if I can find one. So that's a PowerPoint file that I'm uploading. So there's no limits on the type of documents that can be uploaded, and then I'm just going to sign the document. Okay, so coming back into the application now. So now I'm sitting at my desk and I'm going, okay, well, where is this workflow? I need transparency. I need to understand, has somebody opened the document? So what you do then is you can go into documents. You can go into this, this panel over here, and you can go to circulating. And these are all your workflows. So I can click on this little drop-down menu. I can check the document. So I can see, okay, great. David Saunders has signed, but now we're missing a signature from the next person. So I can look into the audit trail. I can see who initiated the workflow, when I viewed it. So I've opened up the link, how long I spent viewing the IP address. So the IP of the signer, the browser, the geolocation. If you really wanted a more simplified view, you could just do a raw view. The workflow information, and then of course the geolocation. So you can see that I'm in Melbourne, in Australia. I'm in Brunswick. So you know exactly where that person was at the time of signing. Now, if we come back to the document that we signed previously, just to show you where the audit resides. So the workflow is completed. This would have your company branding, your color schemes, your logos. If I double click on the document and I say open, what happens is in any mainstream PDF reader, it's going to run a revocation check on the document. So it's checking that the document is encrypted, whether there's been any alterations. My apologies, my PDF reader is playing up. If there's been any alterations, if there was an alteration after the document has been cryptographically or digitally signed, it would break this green tick. So you can see the green tick is in place. But what's important here is what sits within the signature. So this is the advanced electronic signature. So if you double click on the signature, you go into signature properties, you can see that it's been signed by myself. There's my geolocation. It's a timestamp. So we do not call the date and time on the PC clock, because if we did that, it's open to manipulation. So if I change that and it embedded it into the document, and of course it would affect the legal standing. So a simple electronic signature calls this clock. So we only specialize in advanced signatures. And then you can see that there's a certificate, which is really encrypted that. And the same applies for the second signature. You'll see that in all these embedments within the PDF. So you're not reliant on the software application to prove signer identity. Sits within the PDF. And I mean, there's a whole host of other functions. There's reporting capabilities. You've got your plugins for Microsoft Word here that you can just simply download. If it's a large scale rollout, then we work with your IT teams to provide the config files. There's templates, there's extensive security controls under your business and administrator. And I think lastly, what I'd like to show you is just the forms builder, because it does add a lot of value if you are running multiple internal forms. So it's just a matter of actually dragging and dropping your forms. You can give it a header, give it a help text. So you can say maybe this is a leave application form. You can apply radio groups, so you can get very smart with these forms, and I'm just moving through this quite quickly. And then if you're a form admin, you can give scope across the business. So you can give the teams access to certain forms, and then they can just go in and maybe this is a company expense claim form. They can then fill out the form with all the information, upload all their supporting documents, and then they can submit it into workflow, and they can assign the respective signers manually, or they can just choose a workflow template. So if there's a standard approval process and you want to template that, that's great. They can just go and simply select that. But I mean, I think for the purpose of the demo today, I hope what I've shown is really added a lot of value. I mean, there's a lot more features that are available under the hood, but I think just to show you how easy it is to actually set up and configure a workflow. I think the first demo that I showed, I think it was under 10 seconds, I hope, to send that document out and get it signed. Thank you. Over to you, Karen.
Thank you, David. Let me just bring the slides back up. Just getting confirmation, David, if you can see the slides.
Yes, I can.
Awesome. All right, everyone. So thank you, David, for that presentation, for running us through the SigniFlow solution. Now we've gotten to the Q&A portion of our webinar today. So if at any point you may have had a question during this webinar, during the presentation, now is the time to ask away. There's a Q&A tab, so feel free to type in your questions, and David and I will answer them accordingly. Right, we've got a question here from Vinay. How does SigniFlow manage rejections with remarks in an approval workflow?
Great. Very good question. So within the workflow, you do have the ability to reject. So if you do receive a document and you're not comfortable with the contents of the document, you want to reject, you could reject with 1,000 characters. What would happen then is that anybody prior to you receiving that document will receive a rejection notice via email. And your rejection notice will be embedded into the copy of the email. but also we underwrite that into the audit trail within the application. So if there is a requirement to go back and understand why the document was rejected, you can also cross-reference it in the application. Hope that answered the question.
Awesome. We've got another question here from Raj Neil. Does SigniFlow handle CSV uploads for employment contract templates?
I saw that question, and I think we probably need to explore that in a bit more detail. So when referring to the CSV upload, does the CSV contain specific information that you want to embed into the contract templates? If that's the case, we can do it, but it would be via API where we actually generate the document with the data that sits within the CSV. But I think we probably need to set up some time separately just to understand that requirements in a bit more detail. I understand with this webinar, we don't really have fluid conversation, but I'm happy to pick that up with you after today's session.
Great. Is there any more questions from the attendees? Please, if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the Q&A box to the Q&A box. Okay, we've got a question here from Tevita. This is in relation to named user definition. So who counts as a user? Is it the internal staff only, the admins, workflow engineers, or the service accounts?
Great question. So I think we probably need to tie this back to how SigniFlow's licensing actually works. So firstly, we've got per user-based licensing where we allocate a user license to a user, or we've got transaction or per document-based licensing where we allocate a document bundle to the organization. So hypothetically, you acquire 20,000 document transactions. If you opt for the transaction-based modeling, then the solution actually includes unlimited users. So we would onboard all of your organization, all of your users within the organization onto the platform, and then that user would then the users would be able to essentially log in and consume that transaction pack. The benefit between the two is that with our standard per user-based licensing, there's a set cost associated with that for generally it's annual upfront, but it doesn't cater to users that might be using the platform infrequently. So, I mean, you might have a user that only just wants to log in and send a document every 3 months or so. But they still need to have access to the platform to do that. Then we would encourage you to consider looking at a transaction-based model, because then you can onboard all of your users to full user profiles, and they would then be able to still act and use the platform without the annual cost associated with the license. Now, that is with reference to internal users within the organization. When you send a document out to somebody, so somebody's receiving the document for signature, they don't have to have a full SigniFlow user account. They are classified as a sign-free user. So you can send the document out to them. They can just simply log in, they can sign, and they can move on with their business. It is just the users internally that have a requirement to use the application to create the workflows is where they would need a full user account. Sorry, I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but I hope that provided a bit more context around the licensing.
Great, thanks, David. There's another question here from Viraj. This is more towards Vodafone side. Is Vodafone a local vendor who will help the companies implement the software? And what about the pricing? So, Viraj, yes, Vodafone is the managed service provider. We are the local partners for this solution. In terms of pricing, when you get into contact with us, we can give you a personalized pricing list according to, well, in accordance to your organizations. So as the managing software provider, we also do customer engagement, whereby we educate clients. So we run webinars just like this and provide demos. We also deploy and support the solution itself. So anything from plan implementation, integrating it with your current systems, and we also deliver ongoing support once the solution is up and running. And we also ensure that the regulatory compliance adapts to the local business needs. So hope that answers your question, Viraj. There's another question here from Vinay. For documents that require signatures from multiple users, example, all users in HO, does SigniFlow allow us to create recipient groups similar to mailing lists so we don't have to manually enter each email address every time?
Great question. So we've got an application which is called the Bulk Workflow Creator. And what that allows you to do is upload a CSV file that contains all the names and the email addresses of the recipients. And then as I showed earlier within the application, you can create document templates. So let's say this is an HR document and everybody in the company needs to sign it. Then within the bulk workflow creator, you can just stipulate the template and the document itself. And then it will essentially call the CSV file and it will automatically place the signature placements for the respective signatories, and it will bulk send the document out to all of them. We wouldn't manage the mailing list. So it's really dependent on the CSV that is uploaded. So if you had different CSVs according to different recipient groups, that would facilitate that. But in terms of the bulk sending, absolutely, we can cater to that.
We have time for one final question, and there's one right here from Avitesh. Are there any limitations on file types or document sizes? Can users sign documents using mobile phones?
Not really a limitation on document or file types. There is a limitation, excuse me, on the document size. And the only reason why there is a limitation on the document size is because when within the application, you can upload up to 25 megabytes. That's our restriction. But the reason why we put that restriction in place is because when you send a document from the application to another person's mail server, generally they tend to block anything that's larger than 25 MB. So the limitation doesn't relate to the software application. It's more of a safeguard that we have in place to prevent documents from not being received by the external person that you're sending it to. Can users sign documents using mobile phones? Yes, absolutely. The application is compatible with all smartphones and browsers. There's no need for you to download an application. It automatically renders on the device. I hope that answered that question.
Right. Right, so we have one final question before we wrap things up, and this is from Ronit. What is the process when a document requires execution by a third-party vendor, such as for telecom contracts? Specifically, can SigniFlow be used to send documents externally to the vendor in order to obtain their management endorsement?
Oh, absolutely. So I think as I mentioned earlier, you as the workflow creator can stipulate who the recipients are. The person that's receiving the document is classified as a sign-free user. There's no need for them to register for an account. It's a free account. They would just receive the document via email. They would go in, read the contents, and of course sign. Once that document has been signed, it would get routed back to you. So absolutely, third party would be classified as a sign-free user.
Awesome. So that about wraps up the Q&A section of our presentation today. But just before we wrap things up, if you like what we shared today, and if you think that this solution is of great value to your organization in terms of speeding up workflows and processes, feel free to reach out to us at corporate.ict@vodafone.com.fj. It's in the bottom left on the slide in front of you right now. Should you have any questions or queries, once you drop us an email, we'll start by sending you a personalized pricing plan that fits your organization. And then from there, we'll follow up with any quick meetings just to understand your workflows better and answer any further questions that you might have. And then from there, we'll work together on deployment planning just to make sure that everything rolls out smoothly. We'll also handle solution development as well as provide full training and support for your staff just to get your team up and running. And don't worry, after all of that is done, we're not going to run away. We'll still be there for ongoing optimization and dedicated assistance should you need it, just to keep your workflows running smoothly, to make it more efficient and secure. Again, that's corporate.ict@vodafone.com.fj. Feel free to reach out to us after the webinar is over, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Great.
So that's all from my end. David, is there any?
Yeah, look, I think you've covered everything at the end there. I mean, it's we're here to support you throughout the process. And yeah, thank you very much to everybody for attending, and I look forward to meeting with you in the near future.
Awesome. Thank you, David. And thank you, everyone, for joining today's webinar. We hope you found the session insightful and valuable. Your time and participation means a lot to us. So we appreciate you for taking the time out of your schedules today. And a big vinakavaka level to everyone who had questions for David and I. Your engagement does make these sessions a lot more worthwhile. So we look forward to connecting with you at our next webinar. But till then, from David and from myself, we hope you have a fantastic day and an amazing weekend ahead. And again, if you have any further questions, please contact us through the corporate ICT email, and we'll be more than happy to answer that for you. Vinaka.
Naka.